Meteorologist Tuttle here. For years, I've been recommending Ferguson Roof Systems to homeowners across Oklahoma. So when Mother Nature struck my house, it was an easy call to make. There's no one I would trust more than Ferguson Roof Systems for my home's roof. Since 1977, Ferguson has led the industry with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and lifetime warranties. Plus, they'll even deal with the insurance companies so you don't have to. So when Mother Nature strikes, make your first call to Ferguson Roof Systems.
Hey there, Meteorologist Tuttle, back with you again. It is our Thanksgiving week, so we're going to bust out the Thanksgiving Day forecast along with the travel forecast for you. Those of you folks that are heading out and around the country, and maybe you're just heading back home, maybe just staying here, who knows. So I'm going to get you all squared away, all caught up, what you can expect and more. So thanks for tuning in and for joining us here for tonight. Make sure you like and share all the content and join the respective page that you're on, whether that's going to be Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter X, Instagram, what else we got? TikTok, all of it. Let me see. One thing I want to do on here real quick before we get started. Let's see. All that's off. Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's all I got there. Okay, so let's get on with the program for me. All right, I had to check a few things on my software stuff. So out there currently, I don't know about you, it's a little cold today. I've got 37 here at my backyard. So it was a very chilly day today. It was nasty compared to yesterday. We were into the 70s statewide, almost some 80s out there yesterday for Sunday. And today we had wind chill values in the teens and 20s and 30s. It was gross. I'm just like, man. But the winds have calmed down quite a bit. Skies are still pretty clear, and so our temperatures are dropping like a rock. Again, I'm at 37 here in my backyard, and I'm sure your backyard is probably not that much different. If we do take a look at the satellite viewpoint, you can see where you've got the the clouds kind of working their way in from west to east. Very high level clouds. They're not very thick, and there's not that many of them. Just a couple transversing from west to east. That will not be enough to kind of save us as far as temperatures dropping out to the bottom tonight. Because normally, if you can get some cloud cover in here, it acts like a blanket in the atmosphere and traps some of that radiation that comes back into space, directs it right back into the earth, so therefore we get to stay a little bit on the warmer side. But that won't be the case if we don't have a good cloud blanket, which we're not supposed to have tonight. So needless to say, it's going to be a little chilly out there. All right, here's a look at temperatures that were highs today, and some of these occurred like at midnight, you know, like around the 12:01 a.m. kind of a deal. But obviously it was much warmer across the southeastern half of the state than it was the northwest. We had that cold front come in. You never really quite recovered, so it's mostly into the 40s once you get north and west of the I-44 corridor. Now, out there now, oof, it's already below freezing. This little yellow line right here is a demarcation line of where the freezing temperatures are occurring. 20s out into the panhandle. The coldest at Goodwell and also Eva coming in at 25 degrees. Buffalo also at 25. Here in the Oklahoma City metro area, I'm in the upper 30s. Yukon always on the cold spot at 33, and El Reno as well. So you guys are just barely above freezing. Same thing for you guys down there in the Minco area. All right, Tulsa, we got balmy 41 in Bixby. There we go, Tulsa at 39. Okay, so here's a look at the winds, mainly out of the north now, at speeds around about 5 miles per hour. So again, winds have calmed down quite a bit here for today. Now, a little sneak peek of what's happening for our Thursday climatology-wise, just kind of give you an idea. This is looking at some of the numbers here for Tulsa, but it kind of gives an idea for the state. We normally average a high temperature on Thanksgiving Day here in Oklahoma into the, let's just call it mid to upper 50s. Across the state, maybe even some low 60s down across southern and southeastern Oklahoma. So the question is, are we going to be near this normal high, or are we going to be quite a bit colder? So we're going to take a look at that here on your forecast. Okay, let's take a look here at the big picture, jet stream pattern. This is where all the colors indicate our storm systems, and where you do have the brighter the colors indicates the stronger the lift that occurs. If I put this into motion, watch this little storm system out here across the Rockies come in over the Four Corners area for Tuesday on into Wednesday. That'll be a snowmaker for Colorado. All right, now that'll zip through Oklahoma, and unfortunately, we're kind of bone dry. We don't have a whole lot of moisture to work with this little system. If I were to do a point forecast sounding here for this particular time as this front comes in along with it, you will notice the difference between this red line and the green line as you go up in the atmosphere from the bottom to the top is apart from one another. You see how they don't touch? That means that you have a lot of dry air in between. This is the dew point. and the temperature. So in between that is what we call the dew point depression, which means a little on the dry side. So do not expect any rain, although worst case scenario, I guess you probably see a sprinkler or two somewhere, but other than that, like a few passing clouds, and that's it. So that will not make it rain for us. That will move on by, though, and turn into a pretty good little nor'easter over here across the New England region. We'll take a look at that in a second. But as we go to the end of this pattern here, we're going to start to notice the jet stream pattern is going to a kind of a northwest to southeast motion. It's going to then transition more into a north to south motion. That's going to really bring in some cold air. So the pattern is going to be a little cold here for a while. So hope you're ready for it. It ain't get warm anytime soon. All right, here's a look at the precipitation in the form of wintry travel. So if you're heading out tomorrow, for example, getting an early start in the roadways, like I said, across the Rockies on Tuesdays, we're going to find your trouble spots. A lot of snowfall up across the western half of Colorado. So the skiers are going to love it all the way to Utah, and then into Nevada, and then up here, a little skip of snow coming out of southern Canada into the North Dakota region. And this little big upper level low pressure up here across the northeast, that will help to cause some more snow for that part of Canada. And yes, a nor'easter also develop here across New England to put this into motion. But kind of want to show you how things are starting out for your Tuesday. As you head into Wednesday, you can see how that snow kind of moves across North Dakota and comes down to Colorado, and then starts to kind of die off as we'll go through the latter part of our Wednesday. And then here's a look at a little bit of flurry and light snow rain mixture here across, so just south of the Chicago area. Not much to worry about here as far as traveling is concerned. There will be a little bit of a blow up of snow though south and east of there, up toward the Great Lakes on the south end. So this little section here in the upper Midwest is probably going to have at least enough snow to cause a few headaches and some slip roadways. All right. Otherwise, this little snow does wind down here in Colorado, pretty much all over with. Maybe even some flakes of snow in the panhandle of Oklahoma for Wednesday evening. That's as that cold front zips on through. So there is our nor'easter that is taking shape here for Thursday. So that expansion of snow continues across that area of the country. Otherwise, for your Thanksgiving morning, if you will notice, other than a few showers in the south end of that, most of the country is pretty quiet, pretty dry. Here and there, some sprinkles, light passing showers here across the deep south. Also, again, more little flurry activity up here across the northwest, around Montana, and again the Dakotas. But that's about it. Nothing really heavy or significant with the exception of the northeast. So let's take it a little bit further than that during Thursday afternoon. And the rain picks up a little bit more here across the deep south. So it'll be a little soggy for those folks for their Thanksgiving in the middle part of the day. Again, there's that nor'easter. They go to the afternoon and the evening hours, and that activity moves up to the north and east. So South Carolina, North Carolina, getting a little bit of the action for the rainfall. So that's going to stay there for the East Coast. And then there's our nor'easter starting to move offshore, but the back end wraparound still continues for New York, east side, and then really all the way up to Maine. So some pretty good snow for that little system there. A little bit of flurry activity around the Great Lakes for looks like Friday morning. And that'll be the case. We'll have more wraparound snow for the weekend in this area here. So some lake effect snows up around a foot probably in the typical spots when you get that nice fetch from the northwest. And some more little clipper systems that produce a little bit of light batches of snow here. It keeps moving through out of Canada across the far northern plains. So all in all, it's not a terrible forecast for travel for Thanksgiving for this week into the weekend. Pretty decent. Like I said, just kind of a little wet, kind of in this little quadrant here, and a little snowy here. The rest of it is not too bad. Again, some good snow for the skiers out west. Okay, let's take a look at the snowfall amounts. Now, I'm going to have to zoom in just so we can see how much snow is on this thing. My goodness. Let's zip you through the weekend. So I'll stop you here on Sunday evening. And you'll notice the batch of snow is quite heavy. Again, in the lake effect snows that we talked about, and a little bit of that nor'easter right here. And then look at Colorado. I mean, this is ridiculous. Some of these amounts, my goodness, that's in the range of feet. I see feet. Let me go. I want to zoom in and see how much feet we talking. That's a lot of feet. Let's see here. Let's go through time. There we go. All right. So these little hot spots. Oh my goodness. 62 inches of snow. 43. 54. Oh my goodness gracious. They're going to get buried over here in the western half of Colorado. You can see the dividing line north and south right up through Denver. So as typical. So that's the kind of stuff that happens this time of the year. So again, those people are loving it. All right, so let's break that down to the temperatures now. You will notice the big purple in the white area up here across Canada. These are temperatures, by the way, below zero. So this is not Celsius, this is Fahrenheit. It is negative, it is cold. All right, so we go through motion. A lot of this stuff will, of course, spill into the United States, across the northern states and across the Northeast. More reinforcing shots coming in on the western sides of Canada. Now, of course, it'll moderate the southern end of it here across the U.S., so we don't ever usually get this early in the season this type of cold, but it's always not too far away. I mean, Canada's, they get it quick, and it's a rude awakening for them. But here's Thanksgiving Day morning. I want to show you how cold the nation will be for the turkeys. Now, if you look here, the freezing line basically is in blue. It goes right about in this location. So kind of the southern end of the Rockies, right through Oklahoma, and then back up here to the Midwest on Thursday morning. So we go into the afternoon hours. Of course, you rebound with some solar insulation and mixing, and you'll end up above freezing, but not by a whole lot. We're talking 30s and low 40s in that same zone where I've got this little line here. Otherwise, not too terrible in the southeast. It does warm up, so 60s and 70s and 80s all the way from Florida down to the southeast. So there's your warm spot for travel, as typically expected for Thanksgiving. Day after, things get quite a bit colder, though. Obviously, we'll be into sagging this green line way down now. So more sporadic areas of freezing temperatures across North Texas, Northwest, back into the Carolinas as well, and of course the Northeast. Look at these temperatures up here in Canada, minus 33 degrees. That's some true Arctic air that is invading that part of our northern North American hemisphere. Let's go to the weekend. All right, so here's Saturday. Look how this cold air has filtered all the way down now in the morning hours. So we got talking about a freeze all the way down to the Florida Panhandle. So cold obviously across the Northeast. We'll be cold, but not as bad because we missed that glancing blow there. There's more of that stuff though in Canada. So let's go to Sunday morning. Here we go. Again, reinforcing that cold air all the way down now to central Texas. We're going to see at or below freezing from those points northward. More of this purple sliding southward here into the central part of the country. So those are temperatures that are into the single digits. And yeah, below zero once you get into the North Dakota area. And of course Canada as well. So that is a look at how Sunday morning looks like. So that'd probably be our coldest morning overall across the country. And maybe even Oklahoma as well. We'll take a zoom in and look at that here in a minute. And there's Sunday afternoon. It does rebound, obviously, here in the deep south and southeast. But we're talking lots of 30s and a few 40s. So a very cold weekend coming up after Thanksgiving here across a good chunk of the country. So that is a big change in our weather. So I hope you're ready for it. Just a little quick peek here. Go forward in time. Just kind of see what happens in the next week. More cold air keeps coming south. And look at these white areas here on the map. These are temperatures into the teens. And look how far south they progressed into the northern parts of Florida. Oh, boy. Watch out for those orange trees down there. Man, they're not going to like that at all. Otherwise, lots of purple here across the rest of Canada. It does moderate, though, back here, right? You see the temperatures start to moderate. That's just briefly, though. There is another push just off this map here that will come southward to replace it. So we are kind of stuck in a rut here for about 10 to 14 days of just Arctic air masses that continue to kind of zip in this fashion, right? So we get a glancing blow here across the southern plains. Then we rebound, glancing blow, rebound. But that's normal. We have that a lot. Whereas the bulk of the cold stuff stays pretty much along this trajectory and points to the north. All right, that's the big picture on the cold. Now let's go small picture. Localized. Now tonight, cold. So let's zip you on down. There is a freeze warning in effect. You can see temperatures are expected to be right about the freezing point or slightly lower all the way down. This little blue line speckles all the way down to North Texas, right around to Graham, north of DFW, and it kind of snakes around. So where you have the low-lying areas, the valleys and stuff, for sure you get the freezing. If you're on a hill, an area that's somewhat protected, sometimes you get to escape the first freeze, significant freeze like that. But otherwise, 20s and 30s primarily here across most of northern and northeastern Oklahoma for tonight. Again, under light winds and mostly clear skies. Now tomorrow we're going to rebound. So not quite like today, a little bit warmer. Winds won't be, nasty, but we are going to still stay on the cool side. So we're looking at 50s, low 50s out there as far as temperatures go for our Tuesday. Let's zip on into Wednesday. In the morning, we do have a little bit of a cool down, but not nearly as bad as it was for our Tuesday morning. Still some sneak attack 30-degree temperatures up here across far northern Oklahoma. Otherwise, we're kind of in the 40s, and then we're going to rebound you for Wednesday afternoon back into the 50s to 60s across the southern half of the state. So looking pretty good there. We'll be into the 50s and 40s by the time you head up to the Panhandle. And then we'll actually have a reinforcing cold front that comes in. So these numbers are going to be a little misleading. It does say 50 degrees for Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock, but let's see what the wind chill looks like here in a minute. But first I'm going to zip you down to Thursday morning, and looks like we should be right about the freezing point for our Turkey Day here in Oklahoma City, and Tulsa pretty close to that as well. So here's a look at those wind chill values. Let me just zip on through, because Wednesday is really where it's going to matter with those winds kicking up. Let me see how they turn out. Okay, so by 6 o'clock, not bad. So in this particular model, it has backed off the arrival of the really cold stuff. It's got it right now into southern Kansas. Earlier data had it along the I-44 corridor. Now, the models will go back and forth on this for a little bit, and typically it's usually ahead of the curve, right? So usually it would be back closer to the I-44 corridor. In other words, coming a little faster than what they think. That's usually how it turns out. But right now it does have falling temperatures and wind chill values getting colder as you head into Wednesday afternoon and evening as that next front rolls on through. And like we talked about in the morning on Thursday for Thanksgiving, we will be actually into the low to mid 30s, but wind chill values will be into the teens and 20s. So it'll be a very cold start to our Thanksgiving here in Oklahoma. All right, matter of fact, we can zip on into Thursday afternoon to show you how it rebounds during the day. Now, the winds will die down. So on Thanksgiving Day, about 5 to 15 miles per hour. So those winds will be a little stronger in the morning with some cloud cover, and then lots of sunshine for the rest of the day. And that'll help to warm temperatures back up into the mid-40s. It's a little chilly for Thursday here across Oklahoma. So there's your Thanksgiving Day forecast here across the Sooner State. And then Friday morning, another cold start. We should have some widespread 20s and 30s once again, a big large area here in blue. Some areas may escape the freeze out here across northwestern Oklahoma into the Panhandle. Now, what happens is for the weekend, it's kind of still going to be a little on the iffy side, because when you're that far out, a lot of things can change, and the models go back and forth between how much colder it's going to be versus one run to another. And they'll settle down. But right now they have some pretty wild swings. So for example, on Saturday, just kind of give you an idea, this particular data, let's see, what am I looking at? I'm using the icon model here. For example, it's got 30s in the morning on Saturday, and then we warm up into the 40s again. So not quite as warm, all right? So in other words, a little colder, because that front does come in for early on Saturday. So we'll have falling temperatures and wind chills on the cold side. As we head into Sunday morning, we're going to be back into, now this is where things get interesting, because I've seen the models now flip-flop, but they've gone anywhere from the mid-20s to the teens as far as our low temperatures on Sunday morning. Still has some, looks like some teens up here in northwest Oklahoma. There was a lot more teens in the prior data set, so we'll see what happens. Just expect a cold weekend in general, and in the afternoon we're going to rebound really much at all. We're talking about staying in the 30s pretty much most of the day. Might be some 40s down here across Red River, and then we'll cool things down for you Monday morning again, back into the 20s. Again, maybe some teens out there, and then we'll kind of rebound a little bit for Monday. Looks like we'll be back into the mid to upper 30s, but still pretty chilly. So that's what I'm saying. That's a 2-day. Sunday and Monday seems to be the coldest period with that little Arctic blast. Now, this particular 7-day outlook here for Oklahoma City that I'll show you is a conservative blend of the computer model data. So it doesn't have it necessarily showing up as those really cold mornings that's potentially on the table for Sunday and Monday. So I do expect these numbers to be a little bit colder as a result. And therefore, these temperatures for the daytime highs would also be colder as well. So this is your big question mark as to how much of that cold air, the Arctic air, do we get? Is it a glancing blow? Does it backdoor in? Or do we get the full Monty? And do we really cool down? All right, after that, we do rebound, though, back into the mid to upper 50s. Overnight lows still staying in the chilly side of the 30s. So there you go. Some pretty good hard freezes coming up here in the short term. And the long term, no really quick rebounds as far as temperatures go. And we're not going to be back in those 70s anytime soon. And it's too bad, too, because I still got some outdoor stuff to do. And I ran out of good weather to do it. So I'm like, now we got to bundle up when we're out there. But that's okay. It's that time of the year. If you don't have it yet, if you're traveling and just want to know what your backyard forecast is, get my weather app. It's free. It's called AT's Weather to Go. It's on Apple and Google Play. You can get it anytime. Doesn't cost you a dime. It'll never charge you for anything. So if you mess around with something and something comes up, says you need to pay something, that's not me. So swipe that away. Don't click on it. Get it off your phone. Whatever it is. Mine's free. So again, AT's Weather to Go. You can look at my name as well, Aaron Tuttle. All right, let's see. I think that was pretty much most of everything I want to say. I thank you guys again for joining in on TikTok and for following and subscribing to that page and getting the notifications when I do go live. I'll do more of those as we go through our winter forecast period. We start to have some more interesting weather to talk about now that we're getting into an active pattern. Eventually, we're going to get some snow around here for Oklahoma. December is looking like a wild card month. We have a few opportunities coming our way. We can get some pretty decent snow. And if we stay in kind of a pattern of cold weather, right, that kind of doesn't abate, and you get that timing out just right with some moisture, you get some snow. It's real easy. And we'll detail those forecast points as we get closer to those events. I'll take a little sneak peek just at some of the model data just to see. There's some hints that there's some noise, some noise in the model data. In other words, maybe some weak signals starting to show up, kind of peppered around the first I think it's toward the middle to end of the first week of December, like 4th to the 7th, somewhere right around there. Starting to see a few signals pop up. I'll watch over the next few days, and we'll see if anything will start to grow and get me a little more excited. If they get me excited, then I'll get you excited. Till then, don't get excited. I'll let you know. All right, you guys on Instagram, by the way, thanks for tuning in, joining in, and always feel free to leave your comments. And I think that's about it from me. I want you guys appreciate coming in, tuning in. It is about 10 minutes till 10. I'm going to get out of here. Hope you have safe travels, happy Thanksgiving, safe holiday, all that kind of stuff. Cook safely. Don't be deep frying those turkeys like a crazy man. Get that oil splattering everywhere. Don't start no house fires. I think that's about it. You guys have a good, safe holiday, and we will talk to you again here soon. Take care.